the Vegas Circle podcast with your hosts, Paki and Chris. We are people who are passionate about business, success, and culture, and this is our platform to showcase the people in our city who make it happen. On today's podcast, we're going to be delving into the culinary journey through success and challenges of building a family-owned restaurant. We're welcoming to the circle the owner of Via Brasil Steakhouse. We got Adam Gomes. So welcome to the circle, brother.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Good to finally meet you in person, man. I've actually been to your restaurant. Big fan of your restaurant in Summerlin. You guys have been there, I think, for about 15 years now, from my understanding.
15, yeah.
Which is extremely hard to do in this restaurant business, especially with what we've been able to deal with over the last couple of years with the pandemic and everything. But we just want to kind of jump in. So you got a 15-year legacy. What inspired you and Anna, your wife, to get into the restaurant business or open your own restaurant business?
I've been in the restaurant business a very long time. I'm
Yep.
originally out of New York, been in family business basically for many, many, many years.
Okay. New York City or upstate New York?
New York City, yes.
Okay. I'll be there in a few weeks, man.
Sounds
Yeah.
fun.
Did you actually have your own restaurant in New York City, or did you work in for a family business, or how did you actually do it in New York?
I worked in our family-owned restaurant.
Okay.
So the original Via Brasil has been around since 1978.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I was working there for many years before moving out to Vegas.
Okay.
And opened a space out here. We were looking to open another restaurant.
Okay.
And just a series of events just fell in place, and
Sure.
this location just kind of appeared, and
Yeah.
it just all worked out timing-wise, and we ended up opening Via Brasil out in Vegas.
Is there
Excellent.
is this an extension of the brand that's out of New York, or is that one still there, or is it strictly only in Vegas at this point?
The Via Brasil here in Vegas, it's a Brazilian steakhouse.
Okay.
So it's an all-you-can-eat experience. It's a little different than the Via Brasil in New York. So the Via Brasil in New York is a traditional a la carte restaurant.
Got it.
But we also have another Brazilian steakhouse in New York called Plataforma. It's one of the top Brazilian steakhouses in the United States.
Excellent.
So when we look to expand and do something outside of New York, we took the Via Brasil name because obviously a long-standing
Makes sense.
tradition.
Yeah. Brand recognition and everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
So how long have you actually been out here now in Vegas?
Me personally, I've been out for about 16 years or so.
Okay. So you jumped right in, man. Moved out and then had the plan.
Seems like there's kind of a different, that little area that you're in, 15 years ago, I'm assuming it was vastly different than it is now. And I think there's a lot more competition that's moved into that location, but also a lot more people moved into the area. Do you think that's something that's benefited you, or do you think it's something that, has kind of hindered the experience of, Via Brazil in that location?
It's probably a little of both, I guess. Obviously, there's a lot more competition now. You have downtown Summerlin there, which wasn't there before, and
For sure.
Philly Village, and other restaurants that open locally. And at the time we were opening, timing-wise, wasn't the best. Obviously, we were just heading into a recession.
I bet. Yeah.
And,
yeah.
places were closing left and right. So
Yeah.
definitely different struggles to deal with depending on the times. But, there's a good following that we've built up. A lot of regular customers, a lot of regular clientele. We have good name recognition around Las Vegas now. So I'd say a little of both.
Because that location is
Yeah.
fantastic, and I think
It's
you got
prime,
there, like you
yeah.
said, you prime time when you got it 15 years ago. But I'm sure the real estate has probably gone through the roof, because that location is just absolutely fantastic. It really
Yeah.
is a good spot. And
Yeah.
how did you determine at that point in time, 15 years ago, that was the location you wanted to move into? Instead of being on a strip casino or a strip restaurant or a Summerlin restaurant.
If you go back to when we were opening, there wasn't a lot of competition, like you mentioned, around that area. It was a unique concept for the area. At that time, there wasn't any other Brazilian steakhouses at the scale that we were looking to do it in Las Vegas. And it's just location-wise, it was a good area. The restaurants that were around there were doing well at the time.
Yeah.
And it just looked like it was a good opportunity in that space.
The restaurant industry I'm seeing is it's such a challenge. We've had a lot of owners on, the competitors of yours, of course, too, with, being in the steakhouse business. But, I was reading about, I think it was 60% of the restaurants close after their first year. And I think 80% of them close, I think after 4 years is what some of the new, statistics that came out. But you guys must have a secret, right? Secret recipe. 15 years is extremely hard. You went through, the first kind of issue in kind of 2008 when we had those challenges. Then we went through the pandemic. What kept it together? What was the glue that kept it together for you guys to keep your doors open and keep it going? Because it's really hard. You guys got a great story and a great legacy to be able to do that.
As an owner of the restaurant, I don't just own the restaurant
Okay.
and delegate for other people to do everything. I'm there. My wife is there. We're there on a regular basis.
Sure.
So we keep that authenticity. We keep that quality. We keep our standard. And I think that when you kind of farm that out for other people to do for you, you're not going to get that same result. So I think that's what helped us really continue to expand in our local community, and really ingratiated people to what we were doing,
Sure.
and helped us to build our regular clientele. And honestly, that was the biggest thing when we came out of the pandemic. We didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But a lot of the locals, a lot of our regular clientele was coming to the restaurant 2-3 times every couple of weeks, and really keeping the restaurant busy at that time when we were just getting back on our feet.
I actually went to your restaurant during the pandemic. I was like, so excited to get some really good food. And then you guys added like a brunch option, right? That wasn't the original idea, right? You guys started doing these parties for Sunday brunch and things like that, right?
Yeah, we do. We do a Saturday and a Sunday brunch.
Okay.
It's really unique. There's no other place doing anything like that. So what we're doing is we basically come around. We do the full meat service. We carve the meats table side.
Yeah.
But we got the chef's omelet waffle station going on as well. And then we have our full salad bar. We put some breakfast options out there as well. So it's really it's a unique experience. You know, you get the all you can eat, you get the brunch experience, you get the meats. So
what do you see as happening, right? Because you come from New York City, right? It's like the mecca for a lot of the restaurants. I'm really from Chicago, and Chris is from Detroit. But I love New York City's got, you know, the top of the top, right? And it seems like now Vegas is that now, right? I feel like this is where the transition that we're going to, where you got all the top chefs that are here. You got, you know, you guys bring in a different culture and a different spin, which is just absolutely awesome. But are you excited about seeing what's happening with these changes with a lot of these restaurants and all the culture that's happening here and the growth?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember when we first opened, you had a lot of national chains.
Yes.
And now you're seeing a lot of concepts that were chef driven.
Yes.
You know, something that I'm more used to coming from New York.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely exciting to see that out here.
Yeah.
How do you like maintain that innovativeness? Because I know like adding in a brunch, right? I think Vegas is a city that always seems like people are jumping to the next new thing, right? What is it right now? What's hip? What's in? And, you know, as things become more established, you still have that brand loyalty that people recognize with. But how do you capture that new clientele by being, you know, more innovative? Is that something you put effort and thought into, or is it you kind of stick with the tried and true?
That's the thing. We try to keep things fresh. So, you know, our restaurant, it's very important to us that we're always adapting with the times, that we're not staying stale. And, you know, and I think that's a lot of the problems that long-standing traditional restaurants sometimes have, is they just kind of stay set in what they've been doing for year after year after year, and they don't improve and they don't add and they don't stay current. And we're always doing that, you know, whether it's adding something new to our salad bar or new to, you know, doing the meats that we're bringing out instead of just bringing the same meats every day. Sometimes we'll bring out specialty cuts, things like that. You know, the craft cocktails that we do at the bar, and then different kind of events that we like to do to keep things fresh. You know, so we're always trying to see what the next thing is and see how it works with our concept, and if it's something that our clientele is going to enjoy.
I remember years ago you guys did something that was like, obviously it's a Brazilian setup, but it was like almost like a Mardi Gras setup that you guys had. I remember going there weekend, you guys had the performers and everything that was in the restaurant. It was amazing. So I'm like, man, are they gonna do this all the time? Because it was literally like a Cirque du Soleil show, you know, in Summerlin. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's the Brazilian Carnival.
Brazilian Carnival. Okay, I couldn't think of the name. Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Carnival. Like
Carnival. Yeah, I couldn't think of it. My mind was going blank for a second, but the Brazilian Carnival. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that was awesome. So are you originally from Brazil then, or?
My family's from Brazil, but I'm born in New York.
Awesome, man. Talk a little bit about, you know, being in business with family, right? I know that's extremely hard at times. Everybody's got their different perspective, right? Some people think that it's bad. Some people think that it's good. What's your perspective on that? Because you've been doing this, like you mentioned, 1978 is, you know, your family restaurant, and you guys have had it for 15 years now here locally, and you're partnered with your wife. What would you say? Is it good or bad?
I guess it just depends on your family dynamic. For me, it's been a positive thing always. I mean, like I said, I grew up in the restaurant business, so I learned a lot of what I know from my father, watching what he was doing, and I picked up a lot of what he was doing when I moved out here.
Okay.
So we're really kind of on the same page when we discuss, you know, what we're doing with the business. He has a lot of trust in what I'm doing, and there's not that kind of conflict where, you know, I've been doing it longer, so I see it this way. We just always kind of come to a good agreement. And my wife, when she started with us, you know, we opened a place together from the beginning. So we kind of had that same vision from the start. So I think we've all just been on the same page. And, you know, the family aspect is that, you know, we know we can trust the people that we're partnered with, and because we don't have that kind of constant conflict, we have that constant support. So it's worked well for us.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Kind of considering like the current economic climate, right? We all know restaurants seem to me be one of the most impacted by where we're currently situated with cost of labor, cost of goods, inflation, all of these different things that are happening right now in just the overall, country. How has these things impacted you, and how do you prepare for that? Because, being at that kind of higher end restaurant experience, it's harder to keep pushing that bridge, right? To go from a $50 experience to $100. It's not like McDonald's can raise their price $1 and they're at 100% increase, right?
Yeah,
it's a very different experience. How do you manage that part of the restaurant business? It seems pretty complicated to work through that.
Honestly, that's probably the most difficult thing right now, with inflation and labor costs going up.
Yes.
We are a all-you-can-eat steakhouse experience.
Yep.
So we're not like an a la carte restaurant where you can kind of pass those costs on a little at a time to different items on the menu. So we really have to be very structured in the way that we do things. We got to make sure that we're working efficiently as a team, that we're getting the most out of our employees, and just making sure that we're controlling our waste, which is one of the biggest issues with
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, I was very curious about that. Yeah.
So that's really where we kind of try to tighten up the most, so that we don't have to increase our prices to a point where, inflation is going. It's quite a bit of difference compared to where we want to be priced at. So, we try to make those cost controls as much as possible, so we don't have to increase our price and put it on the consumer.
Yeah.
And how important is it to have that vendor relationship? I know you've been doing it for a long time now, so I'm sure that your relationships are pretty pre-established, but initially when you're getting the restaurant kicked off the ground, like how do you work that dynamic to identify who those vendors are going to be, how you're getting the best quality food, the best prices, and how often do you like reevaluate, those relationships?
I mean, at the beginning, you're comparing a bunch of different vendors. Usually they'll start you off with some product samples, try things out. It's kind of getting a feel for who the rep is going to be taking care of you too. That's a key part of it, because throughout the year you're going to have issues. There's going to be problems, and that rep is there to really help you when you need it. And the places that over the years haven't had that a customer response that we needed, that's kind of where we've drifted away from some of those companies and stayed closer to some of those vendors that they're there for us when we need them. And especially after pandemic, that was a really key thing.
Yeah. Who decides what's on the menu? Is that kind of like a collaboration between you and Anna, or you guys battle it out to figure out what's going to win, or how do you guys make that determination?
No, we don't really battle it out. I'd say for the most part, we usually come to a consensus, and maybe one has an idea and the other one has an idea, and we kind of compromise and see what makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, we haven't really had much issue with that.
That's awesome.
What do you do? Do you like test it out? So you just throw on some ideas, like, have your chefs cook it up and see how it tastes? Like, are you constantly trying out new things and seeing to roll it out? Or, do you put a lot of effort into it and you just know what you want to do ahead of time?
Sometimes the idea just kind of comes to you, and then we'll kind of play it out beforehand, try it out in the kitchen, or if it's a specialty cocktail, taste the staff on it, for example, on the bar, and get input from everybody.
Sure.
So that's kind of generally how we'll add something new. We'll get the feedback from the staff. We'll take the input and see what makes sense. And again, we're doing it for our customers, right? So we want to make sure it's something our customers are going to enjoy. So it's not something that I personally like, or maybe my wife Anna personally likes.
Sure.
We may have an idea, but once we kind of try it out and see kind of what a consensus is for the staff and for us, we can then kind of put it in perspective and start thinking, is this something that's going to be, really interesting for our guests? Is this something they're going to enjoy? Or is this something maybe we should pass on and look at something else? So.
And do you have like the nimbleness to be able to make that happen fairly quickly? Or is it something that, a couple months? Like, are you from, idea to execution?
It kind of depends on what the concept is at the point. But I mean, we've come up with an idea one day, and then the next day already put it on the menu. So we have that kind of nimbleness, like you're saying. It just depends on what it is, how complicated the idea is. If it's something that's like an immediate hit where we don't have to tweak it at all, and it's like, okay, I got this idea, let's try it out, see how it goes. Everybody's, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
On the menu the next day.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing on the menu? Like if you were to eat tonight, what would you eat there?
Well, you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I'm curious because I want to know what to get next time. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you got to go with the picanha. That's the
Okay.
you
That's
know,
the famous. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the signature cut
Okay.
in Brazil. So
Okay.
you got to go with that. But if I'm going away from the meats, and I'm thinking about more some of the stuff that we have on our bar menu, it's going to be one of the empanadas. The empanadas that we do at the bar, everything is made fresh, and they're handmade from scratch.
I'm disappointed I never tried your
Yeah,
empanadas.
yeah.
I didn't even know you had empanadas there.
They're
I'm
very
really
good.
mad at myself because I love
They're
empanadas.
really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of those.
Okay.
I worked together with the chefs for probably about a month putting those all together, and it utilizes a lot of stuff that we use in our dining room, you know, in our full service. But then we kind of mix it with a lot of different unique flavors.
Okay.
So you're not getting like your typical empanada when you try the empanadas at a restaurant. You're getting like a really interesting, really unique sauce. And the fillings inside, I mean, it's just packed with a lot of flavor. It's really good.
Okay.
Don't forget the specialty cocktail. What's one of your favorite
Yes,
drinks?
he's talking. I want to eat.
I'm
You know,
have
with
a
the drink.
drinker,
Yeah.
Paki's a food guy, so you gotta,
Yeah.
Well, we were just talking about going from putting something on the menu after having considered it just for a short period of time or a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So, like we said, the empanadas probably was about a month working on those.
Okay.
But one of the more popular cocktails at the bar right now is we do a hot honey margarita.
Oh, that sounds
Okay.
And yeah, that was something that just came to me one day. I mentioned it to my wife. She says, "Oh, that
I've never
sounds
even heard
good."
of that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. That's the first I heard
Okay.
that.
We
Very creative.
We tried it with the staff the next day, and we put it on that night already on the menu. So
I think the only thing I ever drink, and I don't know, I think I had it first at a Brazilian steakhouse. All you could eat was a caipirinhas.
the caipirinha,
Oh, I love
national
those.
cocktail of
Those
Brazil.
things
What
are
is that?
amazing.
What's Caprino? I always drink
like,
sangria when I'm
it's
there.
like,
Yeah. What is that? Yeah.
So it's made with the Brazilian sugarcane rum,
Okay.
and fresh fruit. So it's fresh muddled
okay.
fruits. Now the traditional one is with lime, a little bit of
Okay.
sugar, and the sugarcane rum. That's it.
Okay.
We do with a bunch of different flavors though. So
Okay.
basically, any fruit we have in house, we can make into a caipirinha.
Sounds smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, so we do with kiwi, we do with strawberry, we do with the lime, of course, and
Yeah.
then my personal favorite one is we do with grapes.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I'm gonna try that out.
And I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna check. You
Yeah,
make me
That's
hungry.
like the
man.
best summer drink you ever have. Like,
Yeah,
you're
that's what's
hanging
up,
out
man.
in the summertime. It's so light and refreshing.
You
Absolutely.
do a
All day.
commercial. He just did the full commercial for you. That sounds amazing. Yeah, I'm always drinking sangria. I always do the same. You know, I love sangria. So,
Yeah.
Add
Like,
a
I could
caipirinha
sangria
yeah,
flight.
sangria is great.
You
Yeah.
could add a caipirinha flight to the menu so I could try all the flavors at
That's
once.
a
That's
good
what's
idea,
up,
actually.
man.
It's a good idea.
That's excellent. So when you start, obviously us being a business podcast, right? We focus on business and culture and kind of how everybody is growing. Like you've been doing this for a while, right? So what's the one thing that you would probably recommend or maybe you made a mistake on that you would probably tweak if you were to start today? What would that be?
That's a tough question. It's really kind of hard to think back on that. 'Cause
Sure,
like I
yep.
said, when we first opened,
Different times. Yeah.
yeah, we
Yep.
were opening, right heading into a recession, and
Yep.
places were closing left and right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say that one of the things that I didn't do that I should have done at the beginning was I should have adapted to that faster.
Mm-hmm.
I think I came in more with the mindset of this is what our concept is, this is what we're doing. We had it all planned out. We know how to execute it. We had our price point that was pretty much set, and it was lower, obviously, than what our price point was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I should have adapted a little bit sooner and realized what was going on around,
Sure.
and maybe adjust some of the things that we were looking to do, and maybe roll some of those things out later rather than
That's
do
powerful.
everything all at once.
Yeah. That's great. I
Yeah.
appreciate the honesty because that's hard. That's hard to do, especially when you're trying to scale. So
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. What would you say with us being, Vegas Circle? You seems like your dad has been a huge impact for you as far as being in your circle and mentorship and teaching you the business and the ropes of everything. But who else is in your circle that maybe was able to speak in your life or give you some nuggets or things along those lines to be able to help you maybe go to the next level or keep everything together in a way? What would you say that would be?
Again, we're a family business, so you
Sure.
know I have that support from my family,
Yeah.
which has been big. So I'd say it's my family.
Okay.
My father, my mother, my
Mhm.
brother. We're all in the industry.
Mhm.
My brother is open restaurants, doing consulting as well. So, when I have questions on something or have some ideas that I like to get a fresh perspective, sometimes I'll talk with him about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then my wife comes from a completely different angle.
Okay.
So, you know, I really get a lot of different perspectives just from inside the family, which helps a lot.
Yeah. What's one lesson you learned from your father?
That's tough because I learned a lot. I
Okay.
mean, like I said,
Okay.
I
Yep.
learned a lot growing up in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the biggest lessons that I learned is not to make myself bigger than what the business is.
Okay.
And
So
I
the ego
think,
side of it. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's what's helped us a lot with the longevity in this business and my father for so long in New York.
That's powerful. Yeah. What's the plans for Via Brazil? Would you, because right now it's obviously privately owned, it's not franchise or anything like that. Is the plan to open up other restaurants in Vegas with all the growth that we've been having happening, or continue to keep strategizing on the current, location?
You know, we're going to keep obviously working on the space that we have. You know,
Sure.
like I said, we're always, you know, adding things, always adapting.
Yep.
But we definitely have interest in expanding out to other ideas, other concepts.
Sure. Yep.
Like I said, we've been working on with the empanadas at the bar.
Yep.
You know, things like that we'd like to get into some different spaces.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely got to check this drink out, man, that you said out there.
Oh,
That
Paki,
sounds
it's so
amazing.
good.
Yeah, seems like definitely to get in that
I'm gonna
space.
probably go make one tonight. To be
Yeah,
honest.
that sounds bomb, man. He got to give you the secret
Yeah,
secret
the
recipe.
great version for sure.
That's awesome. So for business advice, right? Because obviously it's hard, right? It's hard to get in business for yourself and even take the leap a lot of the times. What's one nugget you would leave for one of our listeners that, maybe they're thinking about opening a restaurant, maybe they're thinking about getting into business for themselves? What would you share with them of maybe that would help them, jump in and actually do it?
Say the first thing is you got to believe in yourself. You have to have the confidence and believe that your idea, whatever it is going to be a success. And then you got to work hard to make it that.
Sure.
And like I said, it starts with that belief. If you really believe it, you keep pushing and you keep trying until you get where you want to go.
Yeah.
But at the same point, you got to realize that you don't know everything. And you got to take advice from other people. And you got to realize what other people have to say or what you could learn from them that could help you along your way.
I agree. We always ask all of our guests about restaurants in general. So I'm curious for you. So when you're not eating at your restaurant, where do you eat at? Could you give us one gem of a restaurant, maybe a hole in the wall or something that you and Anna like?
Coming from New York, I'm very big on Italian restaurants. So when I go out, I don't want to eat steak.
Okay.
You know, I stay away from steakhouses.
Yeah.
I'll usually opt towards going to an Italian restaurant.
Okay.
One of my favorite Italian restaurants we've been going to for quite a while was Scarpetta at the Cosmopolitan.
Awesome.
Yeah, I
Okay.
haven't heard that one
Scarpetta.
before.
I don't think we've ever been to Scarpetta before, so I got to definitely check that out. I don't think anybody's mentioned that
Yeah,
before. So
perfect.
shout out to Scarpetta. I love Italian food. I think I was Italian in another life, man. So I love Italian food.
Yeah,
So
it's good.
that's great. What else do you want to leave us on? Anything we forgot to ask you at all that you want to share?
Well, you had mentioned about different things that we're doing and how we adapt and add things.
Sure.
So we actually have a event coming up soon.
Okay.
On March 5th,
Okay.
we're doing a paint and sip kind of event.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So since we mentioned a couple things, I might as well throw that in there.
Yeah.
We're going to be teaching people how to make the traditional Brazilian drink, the caipirinha.
Oh, nice.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
So that'll
We
be
might have
part
to
of
show
it.
up for that. Yeah, we might have to
Yeah.
show up for that
That'll
for
be
sure.
part of
Yeah,
it.
that sounds amazing. Yeah,
So we're gonna have the customers come in. We're gonna show them how to make that drink.
that's excellent.
We're gonna include some food from the salad bar as well.
Okay.
And then we have a well-known professional local painter named
Okay.
Alexander Franco is going to be there teaching people how to do some
Excellent.
painting
Yeah.
after
Oh, nice.
that. So
Fantastic.
That's
gonna be a
actually a
nice
great
event.
concept to do. We did that recently, and I actually really enjoyed it. It kind of gets your mind off of the stress of life and the noise and everything. So that's a hell of an idea.
It
to
actually
be
makes
able
you
to,
proud too. Like when you could finish it. I mean,
yeah, it does, man. And I'm not just saying. I actually really want to do that again. It's amazing that you guys are doing it at your restaurant, and you guys got a big space, man. I forgot to ask you, how big is your square footage there? Because you got banquet space and the whole nine. So how big is the square footage? At
we
Via?
have a large place. It's just under 10,000 square feet.
Oh, it is that big.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't
And,
realize it was that big. Okay.
We have 2 private dining spaces there.
Okay.
So we can hold up to 150 people just in the private dining area.
Wow. Okay. Well, pay attention to these guys. But I definitely have to check out that March 5th event that you do. So you said it's a paint and sip event, and you guys will start marketing it pretty soon, or?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome,
So we'll
man.
be doing that soon. It's going to start at 5 o'clock, March 5th.
Okay.
It's $60 a person. It's going to include, like I said, it's going to include the drink class.
That's not bad.
Get those caipirinhas started, get the liquid courage working, and help with
You
that
start
painting.
That makes it right, man. That's awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us, man. What's the social handle for Via Brazil and yourself? Yeah.
So that's going to be Via Brasil Vegas.
Via Brasil Vegas. Check them out. Excellent food. And I appreciate you, Adam, for coming on, man. You can check us out at vegascircle.com. So subscribe with us, man. So we appreciate your time, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Good stuff.